Hello everybody, this is Di Antinatalist, and today I want to talk about spreading the antinatalist word and how it makes biological parents feel. Basically it intimidates them, and the fact that you have encountered knowledge, that they still don't have 20, 30, 40, 50 years later into their, adulthood, parenthood, label. They get extremely triggered because they see all their faults and what they did wrong with raising children, and they feel extremely sensitive, very overly sensitive about the topic and about their family. And if you were to start talking about antinatalism, sometimes a breeder will say, but I love my children. I'm glad I had children. Well, they may be glad they had children, but they're not going to be around most likely to see their demise. To see them, sitting in a hospital with a stroke, or, having to have limbs cut off from being juvenile diabetic, something that they've inherited from their parents, or even just inheriting like a bad trait, just a physical feature that you just cannot, accept. And let me tell you about this. This is an interesting story. There was a veterinarian that I used once, and this veterinarian had, for lack of better words, a pig nose. Now, her nose was like this. I kid you not. The nose was like that. And it was like the most remarkable feature about her. She was, overweight, but I mean, even that didn't stand out like this nose. And one day I was in her office clinic, and I guess it was near the end of the day, and her two children were there, and it was obvious that they were her children, both the boy and the girl, and they were under age 10 at the time. Both of them. I was horrified for those children. Probably when they get older, they're going to see a plastic surgeon about that, because it's just a cosmetic fuck up. And I mean, it was just, it's something I've never really seen before. But I guess because, by the time most people become adults, they're going to get that kind of thing fixed, right? I mean, I don't know if you can even fix such a thing. I mean, a lot of things you can't fix about, or the fix causes so much, trauma. I mean, what if it made their noses even worse? I don't know, but anyway, no matter what you say, no matter how gently you approach the antinatalist talk subject, I mean, how gently can you say, hey, your kids, you brought into the world one way or another, whether it was by sperm or by egg. However you brought those kids into existence, they're going to suffer, age, and die. And they're going to inherit you and your sperm or egg donors' biological traits, positive or negative. Parents don't want to hear that. Parents focus on what's glamorous or, what's, sold to the public. And that's what encourages them to breed in the first place, because they bought into something that was flawed. They bought into something that was always flawed, and they just bought into a fantasy and a delusion, and because their parents probably sugar-coated raising kids. And I know many moms sugarcoat pregnancy and the birth experience, because a lot of women go through pregnancy and have just tormenting consequences, infections with C-sections, vaginal tears from, natural childbirth, stretch marks. And stretch marks don't go away, folks. Your baby could be, disabled or, not perfect. Not that there is a perfect. There's especially not a perfect when it comes to, reproducing. I mean, basically, you're not creating anything. You didn't create life. I mean, the DNA molecules just formed in your body, and, it's nothing you designed or sculpted. It's just something your body did. It's something two people's body did to generate a sentient being. I don't know how parents get through, the first day, the first week, the first month of seeing their baby cry and be in agony over digestion problems, burping, gas, indigestion, hunger, pain, thirst, feeling rejected or unloved. I could not take a baby's crying. I could not see something that I produced for my own flesh and blood, and it's now in torment and in pain, and you cannot do anything about it. And whether it's a toddler or a baby or even a preteen, or even if it's a young adult who displays your mental illness, your craziness, your toxicity, your rages, your unhingedness, or your bipolar episodes, or your lack of reason. Ugh. There's just too many flawed people in this world, and you're one of them. I could not bear the thought of a physical or a biological or an emotional or a behavioral trait of mine that I don't like being passed on. Especially physical, because if I had this, my God, if I had that, You can guarantee that all of your children are going to have that trait. Yep. I saw one parent once. One parent had red hair, and the other parent had light hair. Every child had red hair. And then factor in your husband's dysfunction. And even the dysfunction that you don't see when you're like 21 or 24 or 26 or 31. You don't see all those flaws. No. Degeneration comes with age. And children usually don't come from age. They usually come from youth. Youth and experience and stupidity. So, back to my, origin of this video. Parents don't want to hear any of it. They don't want to hear any facts. They don't want to hear reality. They don't want to hear the truth. They don't want to hear logic. They don't want to hear reason. All they want to be sold on is some glamorous, white picket fence, pink unicorn, So there's really no gentle way to describe antinatalism and to promote antinatalism. So you might as well just go full force. Just be prepared to trigger people. Just be prepared that they're going to have many, many regrets about their children, and they know that those children inherited an abundance of flaws. This is something really, really interesting. In an area which I live, the people who had children and are now like empty nesters, around my age or even younger, the children don't come back home. Like, what happened to the children? Like, I'm sure if they got good jobs, or if they found a girlfriend or boyfriend, or, if they're in another state, they're not going to make an effort to come see old mom and dad. Especially if mom and dad was not generous. You better be awfully nice to your kids with your pocketbook and with your mouth. And with your tongue. You better bite your tongue anytime you want to say anything negative to your child. Because you are the parent. You are the mentor. You owe them everything. They owe you nothing. So if you want to be visited in your old age or in your nursing home, or if they want to call you when their grandchild is born, then by God, you better be generous. And even in spite of being generous, you better be prepared for lots of abuse. Because you deserve it. Family helped raise his kids, but his dad